All right, so welcome to how to legally protect your home, assets, spouse while living with dementia and Parkinson. So today's presentation is sponsored by caregiversadvice.com so far. All the information you're going to see is pulled from either the Parkinson's website, the Dementia's website, or Caregivers' website, so that's where we get all our information from. Okay? I'm brought to you by Compass Financial. My name is Brendan Murphy. So you receive emails where you're looking out. My name is Brendan Murphy, Compass Financial. We have office in media. I also have an office in Havertown on Beach Road. So we're local. I've lived here my whole life. I grew up in Lansdowne, Delaware County, went to Bonner. I've left for maybe 6 months of my whole life.
I'm a friendly girl.
There we go. You're my new favorite.
64. 1964.
I won't tell you what year I graduated. I don't know that. But we're going to help you make sense of legal and financial side of aging in place. I would like you, it's just going to be interactive. Raise your hand, you can ask questions. I'm not going to take a ton of personal questions, but we will get into that, and I will stay around and answer questions for everyone at the end. Okay? By a show of hands, who in the room would want to remain in your home for the rest of your life? You have a choice. All right, we got a lot of views. Okay? Would you want to make sure that your home and assets are protected and passed to either your spouse or your children? Some people don't care. Some people, if you raise your hand if you do. Okay? If you answered yes, then you're in the right place. Okay? So this is for you. Are you concerned about how your health might affect your ability to stay in your home as you get older? Right? Is this for you? Are you concerned with the safety of your money and what's going on in the world after today and how the markets are today? This is for you. Are you concerned about volatility in the market, especially when it comes to pulling money that will pay for long-term care throughout the process? Okay? Are you concerned about the effect of taxes and inflation? Well, you have the ability to remain in your home as you age to make sure that you can be cared for. If you already have dementia and Parkinson, are you interested in learning how to increase money by 37 to 200% as you don't pay for future care and long-term care, even if you have dementia or Parkinson's? Okay? If you're a health spouse of someone who has dementia or Parkinson's, are you interested in learning how to increase your money by 300%? Okay? If you go to sort of bank for future long-term care, we'll show you examples at the end. So stay around. If you have any experience with a spouse or parent's health, and you know the financial stress it causes. Okay? If you're interested in having a sound plan for making sure you can stay in your home the rest of your life, regardless of what happens with taxes, inflation, stock market volatility, even if your spouse already has dementia or Parkinson's. Okay? Why is leaving home so important to us? Okay? Most vacations begin by leaving home, right? We're going on awesome destinations. We're going to Mexico, we're going to Europe, we're going anywhere we can. And if we're lucky, we're going to have a little bit of fun, right? And if we're really lucky, we're going to have a lot of fun. But the best part of it is always landing safely, right? And because there's no place like home. There's no place like home. It's the most comfortable place in the world for most people. It's where you raise your children. It's where your pets are. It's where you prepare hundreds of meals for family and friends. You spend time with friends in your home. It's the place that makes you the most happy. It's often your single biggest asset, right? The last thing most of us want to do is move out. We don't want to downsize. We don't want to go to a nursing home. We don't want to go anywhere. We want to stay in our home and receive care from them. Because the only reason we're going to sell our house at that point is we get financial despair. Our health care is in peril. We don't have our legal affairs in order properly while living with dementia and Parkinson's. So you're going to discover tonight how to deal with three legal and financial roadblocks if you're living with dementia and Parkinson's, and during your retirement that no one's going to talk about that are more dangerous to your ability to stay in your home than the rest of your life was anything else. All right, so everyone remember what happened to COVID just a couple of years ago? No one wanted to go to the nursing home. It changed the way people are cared for today. Right? Because everyone, if you think about a nursing home, you hear the word nursing home, everyone thinks about the table looking up at these fluorescent lights. Right? You see that across the board. 80% of a million people who are old, 88% want to receive their care. The other 12 made some joke that I'm not going to tell you. Okay? So in the next 45 minutes, this is what you're going to discover. Why the big beautiful bill may not be so beautiful for those individuals who plan on relying on government for home care through the Medicaid system. Okay? And a little known tax incentive that the government did back in 2010 that can help you pay for home care that most attorneys and advisors don't really talk about. And I'll tell you why I don't do it. You're going to discover how to increase your assets from 37% to 200% to help pay for home care if you already have Parkinson's dementia. And as a healthy spouse or someone with dementia or Parkinson's, how to increase your assets by at least 300% going towards future long-term care needs. Okay? You're also going to discover how to use our new caregiver trust. The family caregivers will have clear instructions, the legal right to act on your behalf to provide the ability to remain in your home for the rest of your life. You will get the name of those. And how you get 30 minutes of our time free, because every person in this room, no matter if you're going through dementia, Parkinson's, or whatever, is their own individual or their own family. I think Tom has, family with dementia, like we said before, if you didn't hear, every story is different. Every person in this room is going to have a different path with dementia or Parkinson's. Okay? So if you can imagine, if you can wave a wand, know that if you needed home care in the future, that you can increase your current assets into a much larger pool of tax-free benefits regardless of what happens with taxes and inflation. Know that you can legally stay in your home and select who your caregivers are. Okay? Instead of having someone else decide for you, you know you can take advantage of the little-known law which will allow you to stay in your home, receive tax-free benefits, pay for home care, and that your wishes are followed. You don't need a magic line because I'm going to show you why in just the next little bit. So my name is Freddie Murphy. I'm a CLTC. I'm a certified long-term care specialist. I've been doing this for over a decade. I was featured on Fox, NBC, and CBS a little bit back in the wild. You can go over the book. I go over the book, don't go over it in the nursing home. And in your package, you have a consumer's guide to living in home with Parkinson's dementia. It's inside the package. You kind of made it a little bit different for you, a little bit clearer to read, a little bit smaller print. Okay? So why? We educate families about the legal and financial side of aging in place with dementia and Parkinson's. And there are two very important reasons why. Number one, the likelihood of needing care is alarming where we are today. Likelihood of needing care, home care, of anyone 65 and older, is at least 60%. 60% of individuals 65 or older will need some type of home care in the near future. That's from the U.S. Department of Surgery. Okay? You want to highlight that part? Likelihood of needing care, Parkinson's, 80%. 80% of those diagnosed with Parkinson's will eventually require long-term care. Okay? Likelihood of needing long-term care with dementia is 100%. At some point, right, sad to say, diagnosis with dementia will eventually require long-term care. That is from the Alzheimer's Association. Okay? Number two, most attorneys and advisors are too busy doing everything for everyone else. They're not prepared to help you come up with a way to strategize for you to use your assets to help pay for long-term care when having dementia and or Parkinson's. So, right here, I know I said it was complex financial. I'm going to tell you a little bit about why and how I got into working with long-term care. My grandmother, my mom's mom, was getting the memory ward over at Fitzgerald Nurses right next door. So when I was getting married, we would go and visit her because she was not going to be able to attend well. She was on Medicaid in a home, being taken care of. Not always, you couldn't always tell if it was the best, but when you went, it was always nice. But that's where she spent. She didn't get to take her time. So when I was brought into the business by my father-in-law back in about 2012, I made it a point to learn about how I did it. Along the way, I've worked with many clients. One, in particular, Diane and Dara Williams. He worked at CBS, came to the news, worked behind the panels. Great. Had always had a concern about long-term care. Was never ready to pull the trigger. He pulled the trigger. He bought a policy, got himself set up for him and his wife, and enjoyed policy. 6 months later, he's diagnosed with dementia. He's still living in hell with Diane. I literally just had lunch with Diane last week, and she's telling me all the heart. I'm seeing the crying. I'm seeing what she's going through on a weekly basis. Everyone in this room knows that you're here for a reason. It's either you're experiencing with somebody with dementia or Parkinson, or you have it around here. Okay? So I know why you're here. I will work, or have a conversation with everyone in this room to make sure that your specific problem can have some type of solution where we can help you find something out. Okay? So that's why I said. So if you need to have heart surgery, you don't go to a nurse practitioner, or a primary doctor. You go to a heart surgeon. Right? If you need legal advice, we guarantee you can stay in control as you live with dementia or Parkinson's and remain in your home for the rest of your life. You're not going to go to a criminal attorney. You're not going to go to a bankruptcy attorney or even a state advice attorney. We're going to go to an elder law attorney. Okay? To make sure that you're properly set up across the board legally. I'm an attorney, but I can give some advice because I work with them. And I let them do all that part. Okay? If you need advice, leveraging your assets to pay for dementia or Parkinson's, we're not going to go to an insurance agent. We're not going to go to a bank or a tax advisor. We're an investment firm. We're over the long-term care investment. Because there are different ways to pull assets to help pay for care where you need. So, for the next little while, if you can just turn off your phone, I'm sure everyone has, pay close attention, take as many notes, ask questions along the way. Have a pen and paper to take notes, but we'll be here for that. So, roadblock number 1, financially. Wall Street's dirty little secrets. The level of risk you're taking in your investments after you're diagnosed with Parkinson's or dementia. That caregiver guy's in there for that, but we're looking at the market volatility right now. It's still bouncing up and down right now, right? The markets are going great, but the cost of home care, when you're pulling money from investments or home care on top of the volatility, right? Have you ever heard an investment advisor say, it's not a loss until you sell, right? But when you're pulling or you're taking your RMDs when the market's down, it's reducing your total benefits or total assets across the board. Especially when we're talking about the diagnosis with dementia and Parkinson's, it's going to reduce it even more. Okay? With the cost of home care, and in order to which your returns can be critical. We've been in a bull run for the last 13 years. We're on a trajectory and down now. It's the highest it's ever been. But if we look at it, it can wreck your financial plan for retirement, especially living with Parkinson's dementia. So we have to have field with goals. Everyone knows what these are, right? All right, so we're just going to hit the both at age 66. They're starting investment. They each have $648,000. Those are their assets. The annual withdrawal rate, 5%. A little bit higher than the 4% rule. Everyone knows what that is, right? Does everyone know what the 4% rule is? You have $1 million. This came out like 4% rule is that if you had $1 million, you took 4% for the next 30 years without with taxes, with interest. Okay? You bought 40 grand, that would get you to retirement for as long as you. So here we're seeing the 5% rule with inflation and things like that. Okay? The average rate of return, 8%. Across the board. Same returns, but just the opposite order. Okay? So we're going to show you that the Hatfields and the McCoys, and the investment age started at 66, and the investment age is at 82. The Hatfields have 0, and the McCoys have $3 million. Okay? So you're going to see, you can see the minus 12, and highlight them down here. So we're just going in reverse order, right? We can see right here, annual return minus 12, at the end minus 12. We're going to go annual return for the McCoys, first year 29. And if you keep going up across the board, they're going to match everywhere across the way. It's just the opposite effect of how it goes. So if you look, like we said, at age 82, while they're pulling income and RMDs and also taking up long-term care, the Hatfields ran out of money. Okay? Because they were paying for care. And here, the McCoys ended up still having $2 million. So these are their assets to their heirs or to help pay for everything else that was going on. So how can that be? How can both average that money? It's a sequence of return. No one can tell you exactly when you're going to retire or how it's going to go. Back in 2008, when people were getting retired, the market dropped 35%. Everyone remember that? everyone was getting ready to retire. Most people were like, oh my God, I'm about to retire. I'm going to have to work for the next 5 years. It took 6 years to get back to you. So we have to look at that over time. So if we're doing planning, we're looking at those sequence of returns to make sure you're not in position, to make sure you're prepared for this. Out of money by age 82, employees 3.1. And when they need long-term care dollars, they have. To make matters worse, when families start paying for home care costs out of their investments, it's a little extra market loss, right? Like I just talked about. Market's down, you're pulling even more down your 5% to help pay for the care. It can be a bludgeon to your assets. The average cost of home care in the U.S. $64.60. That comes to $77,000. That's the average. Okay. Right now in Delaware County, if for home care for 40 hours a month, people can tell it's $5,500 to $6,000. Okay. The average cost of home care for dementia, so the average guy someone with dementia, early stage is 2 years, minimal health. The moderate stage, 3 years. That's daily health. The last stage, 3 years, 24/7 care. That's a total of 8 years of care. That averages out to $616,000. You know, we don't always need a lot of people that have $616,000 put aside for care. If we're in Parkinson, stage 1, 1 to 2 years, mild. Stage 2, 2 to 3, mild to moderate. Stage 3, 2 to 5 years. Stage 4, severe, 2 to 3. Stage 5, 1 to 3, that's 11 years of care. $847,000. Okay? Again, it's not always put aside for that. But if you plan a little bit earlier, or you need some help, you can definitely get some kind of solution to help you take the burden off. Even for your healthy 65, people that are 65 and healthy, and you don't have, if you have someone that's home fires, 3 out of 100 people, right? Car accidents, 18 out of 100. Needing home care, 60 out of 100. What are the chances that you're going to need home care? It's over 50%. Okay? Then let's look at the impact of the cost for healthy, 65-year-old needing home care. Over for 5 years. We're going for 2026. We have to look at that home care is going to go up 8 to 10% annually as of right now. So if we're looking at 2026, we just use that number. It was 77,000. We're at 82,000 in 2026. For 5 years, it's 412,000. In 2028, we're at 72.97. By 2030, 77.41. Okay, that's $446,000 across the board. Public belief programs, people believe that Medicare will pay for 58% believe that Medicare will cover long-term care. It does not. Okay? Medicaid believes it covers home care. It does not. If you look me up, you will find a podcast. I do a podcast called Compass Wealth Conversation. My Medicare specialist is on there describing what the actual rules are when it comes to Medicare. And we'll go through some of them tonight. But that's what you get just by having a conversation. I will give you who we work with in Medicare. The investment advisors are eligible alternatives. The state attorneys, if you want to go that way. We have those in place. I know what I'm really good at. I know what other people are really good at. That's why I focus on them. Okay? Roadblock number 2, healthcare. Medicare will only pay for 100 days of home care. Have you ever seen or anyone have a long-term care policy? And you'll see an elimination period for 90 days. Right? Reason, you have to continue. Can't be able to perform 2 of 6 acts of daily living. We'll cover it in a little bit. If you can't perform it, most policies have a 90-day elimination period. That's because of Medicare. And then they can get after that and come out of pocket for any expenses at the top of that. Okay? Medicaid only pays you for limited assets. If you have limited assets, right? So that means you're giving up most of your assets, and we're going to go through that in a second. Your doctor recommends you get some home health care. You need help with the activities of daily living, eating, dressing, bathing, continence, transfer, toilet. Does everyone know what continence is? You need to be able to hold your bowels. Just in case you didn't know. Most people have that. Parkinson's dementia is called by cognitive decline, right? So Medicare, most people are surprised to learn Medicare and Medicare Supplement only cover the 100 days. I don't know how many people in that room today wanted to hear think that it covered it, or they knew it did not, right? So your current Medicare supplement and Advantage plans are fine for things like annual checkups, prescription, hospital stays, surgery. But terrible for home care. What does Medicaid pay for? Well, pay for long-term care, maybe. Home, it actually spent $113,000 in 2020. It'll help pay for, you may qualify for one care, prepaid funerals and burial plots, personal belongings, and household items. If single, total assets cannot exceed $2,000. Okay, that's an average. In Pennsylvania, it's $1,900. Some will allow, like Michigan, if you're out of state or have family out of state, $9,600. 31 in New York. If you're married, total assets, you can keep your assets to $154,000. You can keep your house. And there's a 5-year look back on gifts and transfers. So it's like, hey, I'm going to give my house to my granddaughter. They have a 5-year look back. They're getting ready to change it to a 7-year look back. Okay, so you have to be prepared for last one's ready. Okay. What do you qualify? Minimum required home care, skilled medical care, nurse, therapist, aide, plus some equipment. Okay. Many states strive to expand Medicaid home care. Okay. Help with that daily living that we went through, and our waiver program. It's not guaranteed, and there's often a wait list if you don't have your own plan set. Income limits is $2,900 for the month, but many states impose stricter limits. PA is still $1,900. Okay, an example for Missouri, just because they use it at $1,690. The big beautiful bill. Everyone's heard about this. It may not be so beautiful when you're planning on getting home care through the Medicaid system. The eligibility expansion, July 1st, 2028, states gain new authority to broaden Medicaid home care eligibility, which is great. They're only going to fund $50 million in 2026, only $100 million in 2027. And you say only, but spread across the whole nation. That only helps 2 families here and there, right? When we're getting to the point of where we're getting to with baby boomers, we're going to talk about that in a second. How many baby boomers are starting to turn 80, right? The federal funding cuts to Medicaid, $1 trillion over the next decade. State budgets, federal cuts may force government to choose between home care and Medicaid. Home care will likely lose. Hospitals and nursing. Look, talk about rural areas. How many hospitals have we lost just in the Delaware County area? Right? And hopefully they just bought it, so they'll put another one back in there. But January 1st, 2026, 9,700 baby boomers turning 80 each day they're at. How many of our parents or grandparents are going to be cared for? And if I have to take care of my parents, I have to then quit my job and someone's going to help pay for me so I can take care of my family. We have to think about those things. We're thinking about the plan. Thinking about if you have a spouse and they need care. Who's going to help you? Who's going to give you a break? Who's going to give you some time to go out and be, not that you want to leave your spouse or you're by yourself. Who's going to help you? You need time to go out and be a person, to go food shop, interact with other people. Those things are important. Okay? There's some good news. The one big beautiful bill did not impose any reductions to veterans' home care benefits. Do we have any veterans in the room? Thank you, sir. Thank you for the service. So home care, assisted living benefits for veterans who qualify 90 plus days of active duty service, at least 1 day served during wartime, no dishonorable discharge. Application and qualified process, income, expenses, assets, and medical conditions. In your folders, you'll see this. So if you are a veteran, you can click that bottom button, and we will have a conversation with you to help you make sure that you're factored out. Okay? Spouses or widows of veterans still up to $33,525 per year. Okay? So I just showed you that. This is a green piece in there. Look at that. You can check off the veterans. Roadblock. Legal. Most people have a will. If you haven't got the will done, and you just wrote it on a napkin, please go see someone. My parents were like that. They're like, oh, the will is under the thing. It's on a piece of paper. I'm like, who did it? I'm like, I work in an office with 4 lawyers. I think they can write you a will. And I think I can help you take care of it. Things of that nature. Okay? Some people have irrevocable trust or an irrevocable trust, right? And if you don't have the power of attorney, most people have medical power of attorneys on either their spouse or somebody to help take care of them and make medical decisions. It's funny, people mostly don't know that when kids go to college when they're 18, you gotta get them signed as well. It's even funny because a lot of my nieces and nephews are going to college, so they can make medical decisions. But if you don't, you become incapacitated. What usually happens is courts get accepted. Okay? The process is like what occurs if you die without a will. It can be draining, costly, and time consuming for all involved. If you have a medical power of attorney, that eases the pain. Okay? The court can establish a conservationship or a guardianship and appoint someone to take care of your medical and financial decisions. Okay? Usually, the court will appoint a family, but there are cases when it has not happened. So we make sure when we ask questions in our intake, do you have a will? Do you have a trust? Do you have a medical power of attorney with your spouse? Or do you have somebody set up to take care of your documents? Those are the 4 first questions that we ask besides your name and your birth. It's a checkbox list that we run. So just make sure your legal docs are in. We're not asking you to go out and spend millions of dollars. Just make sure it's properly set up. It will help you set it up if you don't have it properly set up. Okay? Your financial plan. So we talked about sequence of returns. We talked about the no powers of attorney. Now that's $77,000. It's something we have to check off. Home health care costs per year. Okay? So that's what we're going to talk about now. And since we don't have a crystal ball, we will leave your wisdom and ask you 3 very important questions. If you need care in the future, where would you want to receive? Most people are going to say, right? Okay? And this is a different question. People answer this all over, but for this particular scenario, we're going to go checking the savings, okay? Which asset would you liquidate first? Okay? If we have to pay for something, what are we going to use? And since you decided to use checking and savings today, is there a better way to use checking and savings to pay for home health care? And is that something you should take? Well, there is a better way. The better way is just that. In 2010, the government created tax incentives to encourage people to plan ahead for home health. Okay? The law allows you to transfer assets like checking and savings, investments, home equity, annuities, if anyone has an annuity in here, okay? Life insurance. HSA is not on this list, but you can use your HSA also to pay for long-term care, if you have one, into a pension protection act annuity. Okay? When owned properly by the caregiver trust that we talked about, take the money out 100% tax free. Okay? To pay for home health care, assisted living, memory care, nursing care. Okay? You can even pay your friends and family members to provide care. Alright? So let's look ahead. We're going to look at a couple of examples. We have creative long-term care solutions for a single family recently diagnosed with Parkinson's just living at home. Okay? Currently lives at home and they continue to do so with their health deteriorating. Has Parkinson's, but her ADLs are all intact. Her twin brother Bob's her power of attorney. So her current assets are being done. So the $320,000 in checking and savings, $260 in the IRA, and $550 in home equity. Her monthly income is $3,800. Monthly living expense is $3,600. So she has a small surplus of $200. So the median cost in the Philadelphia area right now, 2024, was $6,483. Okay, community assisted living, $2,161, and nursing home, $13,277. Okay, in 2030, 7074 one that we showed you earlier, 2588, cost 1580 53. Okay, so we're looking at that 5 to 10% annual increase. 4 years from now, she'll need almost $8,700 each month to cover her own care costs. So we would, in this scenario, we would start the caregiver trust, transfer the checking and savings into the caregiver trust, okay? And establish the LTC Pension Protection Act annuity owned by the caregiver trust. Okay? And that would create, using the 320, $852,000 tax-free pool of LTC dollars. And as soon as that person cannot perform through the 6 ADLs, this pays out. And it pays out for 60 months. Okay? So regardless of what you need it for, whether you're putting it in your bank account, paying for a friend or family, that is the care that will be used for that. So again, caregiver trust, transfer it to the pension protect annuity. If you look, it will increase over time. So by her age, depending on when she needs it and when her ADLs, when she has to do it, you go from 72 to 9282 monthly. She could get 12,674 and 78 it would be almost $14,000 a month. Okay? Let's listen for a healthy brother or someone who has Parkinson. So he's the caregiver. He has an annuity. We're going to use the annuity in this example. He transfers it into the caregiver trust with the annuity, and it spits out 1.13 million of tax-free income because he's healthy. So when you see it, he's not going to take it until he needs it. And that would pay out $18,950 per month. Okay? So this long-term care bill is only $15,000 a month. He has a surplus of $39,000 that will go into that trust. It can continue to be used inside that trust. Okay? Long-term care crisis planning is a creative long-term care solutions for single family diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, dementia PVD, and living at home, currently spending $12,000 a month. So the examples we have Debbie, she's divorced 10 years ago, currently lives at home, is additive to remaining at home. Her current spending is $12,600 monthly in home care. Her only child is a doctor and a POA who lives with her mom to oversee the care. Debbie's current assets right here. She has $450,000 checking savings, $400 in IRA, and $1.3 million stocks. Her monthly income is $5,600, and the living expenses for care are $12,600, so she has a shortfall of about $7,000. And this might not be everyone's situation, but these are just examples of what they're doing. The preliminary step is to restructure the IRA dollars for how they're paid. Okay? So you take the $400,000, and if you divide that by age 76, or her age 76 to age 80, she has a full of $400,000. We're using the IRA. Anything above 7.5% AGI, average gross income, is a tax deduction for debt. Okay? So if you use those dollars, this part is wrong. So it will pay $7 monthly care for 4 years. It's not 15 amounts. But it's 4 years. So in this scenario, she's using the IRA dollars to build up, to pay for care right now to cover her shortfalls, which will give her an extra $1,334.
So it's a traditional IRA.
It's traditional IRA.
It's not a Roth.
It's not a
When you
Roth.
say AGI, you're saying the AGI number that's calculated based on that traditional IRA withdrawal makes up an income component of that AGI. So anything else that's above that then ends up being tax-free.
Correct. Correct. So this tax saver pool right now will help her cover her bills monthly by using, paying friends and family, caregivers, what she's using right now. And then the second piece is that her daughter starts a caregiver's trust, transfers $500,000 into the Pension Protection Act annuity, and then at age 80, she's using another pool, $786,000 after she uses up the $400,000 in the IRA assets. So when I was saying it's based upon the person that we're sitting across from, there are different ways to use these vehicles to help pay. It just depends on what's going on and how it works. So if she waits until 80, she takes it at age 80, there's that payment. 82, $712,000 of the pool money, or tax-free of $786,000 per month. Okay? The pool money is $13,000. Okay? And it can be paid into the trust. The trustee with the daughter can help pay for care to keep mom in her own place in her own place. So far you've discovered that we can increase your assets by 300% tax-free and hire your friends and family to help pay for your care. That could with proper legal documentations, legal stay at home, and select your caregivers instead of having someone else determine the you get the pay. And if you need home care in the future, then you can take advantage of that little minimum law that we talked about back in 2010. It's actually better to pay for home care by simply repositioning some assets. Okay? No one's talking about it. It's more dangerous to your long-term physical and financial health. This is a conversation I have pretty much every day. Not everyone wants to have that conversation, but I'm happy to have it with you if you'd like to have it. If you want to try to set up stuff. And how to combat raising taxes, hidden taxes, and how to use IRA to provide tax-advantaged long-term care. I kind of gave you some of the scopes of what it is, but we can work through it. The secret to tax incentives were created back in 2010 by most advisors don't talk about. So most parents advisors do this telling people all things, right? They might be doing their best, but they don't understand the level of care for what they need. Dementia, remember, 160,000. Parkinson's, $847,000. Okay? You need someone who is certified long-term care specialist. And most are experienced, but not educated in long-term care. I help people do this every day. I would enjoy having a conversation with you. And I will promise you that even, as we finish up, if it's possible for your loved ones to live your golden years with dignity and comfort, and live at home without depending on all of their assets, even if you get sick and need help home care, or even if you've already been diagnosed with dementia and Parkinson's. So the ball's in your court. I promise you, if you come in and have a conversation, we'll talk about your assets. You will get a plan. I will walk you through a plan. Whether you deal with me or you deal with somebody else, I just want you to have it. I don't want anyone in this room to end up like my grandma. But, just in a home by herself, where at any time's family. Yes, I don't want to have lunch with my clients who are crying, which I know is going to happen. That's not what I want. I want to make sure everyone here has a plan. And I'll do my best to make sure your plan is appropriate for you. Okay? So the ball's in your court. You have three choices. Do nothing and hope everything will be okay. And hope it's not a solid plan. Try to figure it out on your own. Problem is, not everyone's going to be able to help you. What does have? It's free. So there's a green sheet in there. You're more than welcome. You can check yes or no free consultation. And for myself or just for my spouse, I have a media office, I have a Hackathon office, I'll do Zoom. I even come to your home if it's more convenient. I do home visits all the time.